we're not technically in session, but we'll still put it in the minutes as though it was. So if you'd like to go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so this semester we're working very closely with the entrepreneurship department, specifically Amy Whitney. And we are also going to work with Will O'Brien, who's going to be one of our advisors. And he has like a lot of experience with green business, so we're meeting with him tomorrow for the first time. So we're primarily focusing on building an organizational structure and creating a timeline and just like having a very solid business plan for the future. We're working on becoming a student-run venture, so we're filling out that application and going through those steps. So we are going to have a name picked very soon. We're going to kind of give out like a survey, kind of do like a contest, like a naming contest. And then very soon get grad business students involved, so we have a lot more help in that kind of area. And then we're hoping to have a general interest meeting in like March,
right after break. We're also kind of rethinking what we want to do with the grind. We're still going to be doing the same sort of equipment and same sort of infrastructure, but we're thinking we really want to be public on campus and show ourselves outside of the grind. So we are planning or thinking about doing more of a farm stand outside instead of having our storefront right now in the grind. We're anticipating that we're still going to be opening sometime in the beginning of April, as that's right now projected. We're still going to be using the money for the same equipment. The costs are going to remain the same, but we're trying to really put ourselves out there, and we think that in having it in Red Square or on Green or having some sort of truck or cart will be more beneficial. We're also talking to Heather, who's the general manager of dining services. We had a meeting with her last week. We're meeting her again tomorrow. She's really excited about the co-op. She's on board, definitely, and tomorrow is giving us a tour of the facilities behind the path for the dining services, and then also she's going to help us go throughout the grind space and kind of tell us what she thinks can be done, look at some refrigeration units, some options for what we can buy. We'll be trying to buy stuff by the beginning of April as well for the grind to have that set up. Hopefully maybe get a physical plan on board to do some construction during mid-semester break. And also figuring out permits. Heather's helping us with that because it's possible we can umbrella under some of the permits from the park right now. But we will need some sort of permitting for outside if we're going to be selling outside of the buildings. And we're kind of holding off on any new members until this initial planning is done. But we're, like we said, we're having a general interest meeting starting after break, and then we'll be recruiting more people to become kind of core team members.
What steps have you taken to partner with the community thus far?
Well, we met with Artichoke kind of like right before winter break, and we have kind of like established that there are ways that we can team up and just do things together. Like I think we were thinking of combining buying power and just kind of like promotional things. So we're kind of trying to establish this really like cohesive relationship with Artichoke, and that's what we've kind of done with that so far.
That's great.
Yeah.
And also if we're selling outside, we hope that that can also bring in people who are passing by on Main Street. They're welcome to come versus in the grind where it's a little more private looking. So.
Mm-hmm. And I assume that this will take place primarily during the more spring-like months.
Yeah, definitely.
Questions for the food co-op group? Do you have a end date in mind? Like, do you have a timeline as far as when you kind of like want to be out selling?
Well, that's what we're in the process of writing actually for Friday. We have a kind of due date with Amy Whitney for that. But right now we're thinking kind of the end of the first week of April, around then, to have our farm stand up and running. And hopefully the grind is more or less prepared at that point to hold at least some storage space.
It's a little difficult to say because the permitting process can take a very long time. It can take anywhere from like 3 weeks to 2 months, so that's kind of dependent on that. So it would be ideal to start in April, but you know, it's not really up to us in that sense.
Okay. Ellen?
So some folks from the CDC were saying that the Artichoke was going to be shutting down soon because they no longer could, operate anymore. So if they do shut down, how will that affect you guys?
Well, I mean, we would then have, that would be really upsetting. That they have not told us that to our knowledge, they're really trying to stay alive. So we haven't been in contact with them since we've been back. But it would, I mean, they would have helped us out a lot in terms of UNFI, which is where we were planning on getting our dry goods. But it wouldn't be like a deal breaker necessarily. There are other ways to get dry goods.
In early conversations with their organization, the individual we were talking to was concerned about like the feasibility of their store remaining open. And at the time, he said that like if it does go under, though, like he would be willing to share all their contacts and experience that he gained out of the store. So though it would be unfortunate seeing them go under, there'd still be a lot to gain from it at the same time. So we don't see it affecting us in a negative way.
But right now, they're, at least when we talked to people last, they were extremely enthusiastic. They're trying to kind of reinvent themselves. I know there's been a lot of rumors back and forth about them closing, staying open, but as far as we know right now, we haven't heard anything recently about them shutting down.
Good. Other questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming in. It's really nice to hear an update, just because, you know, sometimes we lose touch with groups, and we certainly don't want to lose touch with those that were given a cumulative surplus grant, because, you know, we really do expect great things to be happening in our community soon. And, you know, we have the greatest enthusiasm for your ideas. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Please let us know if anything sort of monumental develops, or, you know, any sort of updates we're really interested in hearing about. So, and anything that we can do additionally to support you in terms of publicity or even manpower, you know, we're interested in getting behind this cause now that we've, you know, put our money towards it. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming. So we're still not in formal session, because we are missing two judiciary members, and we need 3 actually for quorum, this is 2. Mark Kadusha has class until 8:15. Is that true? Yeah, so hopefully he'll be coming in shortly. Until then, if anyone has anything that they'd like to talk about, just informally, we can do that now. We're not in formal session, so we can't do formal votes or anything like that, but for the most part.
Does anyone have any last words that they would like to share with us presently?
I just got a free burrito bowl from Chipotle.
You want to share?
No.
Congratulations.
Wait, how did you do that?
I asked for chips, but they ran out of chips. So.
And then she proceeded to eat my chips.
You said I could, okay?
I was
Listen.
going to eat them all.
I didn't eat them all. We're gonna have a roommate fight.
Okay, so Devin has waived his rights. Sam has waived his rights for the first 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah, but they still count.
They still counting everything.
Okay,
Bache, what is your cell phone number?
well,
I just tried to
you're
text
not
you.
Andy anymore.
What is it? Yeah, hold on.
I mean, you can see how that works, you just can't pass any motions.
Oh, we can call a meeting to order?
Yeah, it's in court, we've done this before.
Okay.
There you go.
This meeting of the Clark Undergraduate Student Council will come to in-quorum meeting. Order. So Allie, roll call.
Okay.
Corey is on his way,
Great.
as is Joseph.
Okay. Lisa.
Here.
Sam. Hannah. Andrew Shushu.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Allie. I'm here. Joseph Carpenter's on here. Jean Dow.
Oh, me and my burrito bowl are here.
Devin. Unabad. Nick.
Here.
Kate. Here. Leo. Rory.
Here.
Milad.
Cheers.
She's here. Becca.
Here.
Becca Sanchez is on here. Brian.
Ask for later. Yep.
John. Andrew Young.
Here.
Elena.
Here.
Mark. Corey.
Thank you, Allie. And we won't be passing any sort of minutes. But we will do that later. And so let's move down into financial matters. If you just want to talk about the requests that we have And the members in the audience that are here for the grants request, if you could discuss your grants, we unfortunately won't be able to make, we won't be able to make any votes on them because we're in an in-quorum session, because we don't have quorum right now for those that just came in. We're waiting on a judiciary member. But if we could all talk about it, that would be great, and then we'll make votes once we get into real session. So Kate?
Okay. So the first one, a manager from 100 Group came to us requesting $300 for a FIFA tournament that will be a fundraiser for the Worcester Youth Soccer League. And they requested money to buy the games, the TVs that they'll need to have the games, and some food. And actually discussing with them, their original request was $300, but we talked to them about a couple ways that they could save on money, and we came to the conclusion that $225 was a fair amount to give them from Q3 of the 2-week waiver.
Do you want to talk about your request?
There's a representative here.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So the second was from a group of performing arts students. She requested $1,650.
Sorry, does anyone else?
Oh.
We're going to basically go through it as though we were voting on it and just not vote. So does anyone have any questions about the management 100 group fundraiser for Kate that you would ask during a normal session? No? Okay, then we'll move on. Kate?
So group of performing arts students came to us requesting $1,650 for their capstone final project. They're hiring a director and buying the rights to the show, as well as a couple of props. And there are a couple of members in the audience if you would like to talk about it.
We're just going to put it on hold for a second because we have quorum. All right. Whew, thank God. This meeting of the 101st meeting of the...
Still in session.
You know what?
Yeah.
You just-
Oh, we're still in session?
Yeah.
And now we have quorum?
Yeah.
Okay,
Used it.
good. JK, we're now in quorum. Ryan?
I move to allocate $225 from Q3 with a 2-week waiver to the Management 100 Group.
There's a motion on the table to allocate $225 from Q3 with a 2-week waiver to the Management 100 Group. Is there a second? Second by Kate. Questions, the wording, discussion? We already talked about it. Oh, Becca.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what do they plan? It says that the money is for games and TVs, so that's not like a one-time use thing. So what do they plan on doing with that after their tournament?
Oh,
Kate?
they are renting the TVs. So the fee is to rent the TV and then look in the back. And the games, I think, were about $40 each, and that's actually how they cut down on the cost because they were going to buy the games originally and then just have them. And then have a prize for the first place winners, but instead they're actually using the games as the prizes.
Okay.
So the prizes will then be the games that they got for the tournament.
Yeah.
Sandy?
Yeah, I was just wondering, I usually see management with 100 groups in PCF also. I was wondering, is there a particular reason why we would go to PCF?
Kate?
I think PCF can only give up to, is it 200 or
300.
It is up to 300. I think they just came to us, maybe because they weren't as aware of PCF requests, or possibly they wanted to move their request up a little just because it is on the cusp of being at 300. But I don't know any particular reason that they personally came to us, but that would be my logic.
Other questions? All those in favor of allocating $225 from Q3 with a 2-week waiver to the Management 100 Group, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And before we do anything else, I just want to move up the agenda quickly and do the minutes. Ryan?
I move to waive the reading.
There's a motion on the table to waive the reading of the minutes. Is there a second? Second by Andrew. Questions to the wording? Discussion? All those in favor of waiving the reading of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Ryan?
I move to approve the minutes.
There's a motion on the table to approve the minutes. Is there a second? Second by Malat. Questions to the wording? Discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes of last week, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Great. Thank you, Hannah. Kate?
I move to allocate $1,650 from quarter 4 to the performing arts students.
There's a motion on the table to allocate $1,650 from quarter 4 to the performing arts students. Is there a second? Second by Jean. Questions to the wording? Discussion. Kate?
There are 2 representatives who would like to speak about it.
Sure, okay, so this is our senior thesis project. There are 4 of us who are performing in this. It's a musical, and it's a 4-person cast. It's going to be held in the Grind, and we're trying to hire or get funds to hire a music director who would also be able to accompany us in the show, and also the rights for the show and the materials for the show, and some props. And the show is happening, hopefully, if this money carries through, April 13th and 14th. If you guys are available, you should come see us. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Further discussion? Mala?
I was wondering what class was this for?
It's our senior thesis project. It's like our capstone.
Yeah,
So
a capsule that we all created.
Yeah.
So like self-design.
It's a self-designed senior thesis.
What's your thesis? What's the major?
We're voice
Vocal
majors.
performance majors.
Questions? Joseph?
Avocado. I think it's a good idea. I think we should support it.
Thank you, Joseph. Anything else? All those in favor of allocating $1,650 from quarter 4 to the performing arts students, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, guys. Kate?
I move to allocate $1,500 from advocacy to a group of economics students going to Appalachia, Kentucky.
There's a motion on the table to allocate $1,500 from advocacy to a group of econ students. Is there a second? Second by Milan. Questions to the wording? Discussion. Kate?
So this group of students came to us requesting $4,500 to go to a trip to Appalachia, Kentucky. And it's basically just going to be them learning a bunch of hands-on stuff about sustainable land practices and the economic development of Appalachia. However, because of what they were asking for, which was transportation, it would have had to come out of advocacy, but because advocacy is such a small fund, we couldn't give them the full funding. And so we, talking with the group, decided on $1,500. And there was a representative here.
Hi.
Yeah, so basically, we're going to be trying to make connections from learning about the unique development of Appalachia and trying to connect it to developing countries that are around the world that would be hard to visit. So this is sort of a good hands-on way to do it. And basically, any kind of form of funding would be really helpful because the students have to bear all of the expenses. So a lot of students can't do the trip unless we get some kind of funding.
Kate?
And I think it's also, I think about 50 students.
Yeah, 55.
55, yeah. So it is a large group of students who are going, which is why we felt that advocating that much was appropriate as well.
Other comments? Questions? All right, seeing none, we move into voting. All in favor of allocating $1,500 from advocacy to this group of econ students, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kate?
I move to allocate $300 from advocacy to students going to Real Food Challenge with a 2-week waiver.
There's a motion on the table to allocate $300 for students participating in the Real Food Challenge with a 2-week waiver. Is there a second? Seconded by Ryan. Questions to the wording? Discussion. Kate?
So basically, students came to us because they've been working with this program called the Real Food Challenge, which is supposed to bring sustainable food to universities, and they're having their first big conference next week in California. And the students had already found a bunch of other ways to find the money. Real Food Challenge is giving them half of what they're looking for, and they're looking to sponsor a couple of other departments. So that's why we felt it was appropriate to give them a and we thought it was a great way to get students out there talking about sustainable food somewhere. And there, I do not believe.
Further discussion on this matter? Mala?
Can I ask what student organization is this for? Is it if it's for student organization?
Yep, it's, there is a specific organization for the Legal Food Challenge. I'm pretty sure it's like their group on campus, an organization, and it's 2 students from that and we're going.
Mala?
Are they a recognized group on campus?
I don't believe so.
Well, I mean, we can, but just,
Okay.
yeah.
It essentially doesn't matter because students can ask for money no matter what. Any other discussion? All right, we're gonna move into voting. All in favor of allocating $300 from advocacy with a 2-week waiver to students participating in the Real Food Challenge, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Kate and the grants committee. Anything else?
Although we are looking for 2 members.
Yes, continue. Becca, we're on it, right?
I'll choose people for grants.
So if anybody knows anybody,
No, we have one application already. It's John Camden.
cool. All right. All right. We're going to move down to the financial committee's report. Andrew?
Alright, so we had a meeting yesterday, and we're starting to plan fall or spring audits. We're going to be sending out an email to all club leaders and undergraduate students tomorrow. We're going to start our audits midweek next week, and we're going to give all clubs a 2-week period to appeal our recommendation, and then we'll be presenting our report on the 29th. We also are creating a financial forum Money Matters event for the 15th. It's going to be a chance for all the financial groups of council to meet with students from different groups of students in general to create, a dialogue and a forum on how to obtain financing for certain events and organizations. Because we figure out that a lot of clubs don't know about PCF requests. A lot of students don't know about where the SAF comes from and where does it go. And that leads us to the third thing that we came up with is that we're going to be introducing a bylaw today to, and in addition to our internal procedures, to add a dollar-by-dollar breakdown. So what we're going to do is publish another report that kind of delineates where all the money goes. And Malad, if you want to talk about that.
Mazzy and I have been working on a dialogue. It's basically something that we saw on one of the concerns that the student body had about not being fully aware of where the student activities fund fees actually went. So we're creating a bylaw that would actually declare that there would be a dollar-for-dollar breakdown each consecutive year that would be published on the student council website to make all students aware of where exactly their money goes.
I'll entertain a motion for maybe a 1 or 2 minute recess for us to all read the bylaws so that we know what they're doing. Ryan?
Move for 1 minute recess.
There's a motion on the table for a 1 minute recess. Is there a second? Second by Sam. Questions to wording? Discussion? All those in,
So there are some pen marks on their mind if anyone has a question about the recommendation.
all in favor? Please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Sorry.
Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, we do have a quorum, guys, so
Yeah, so
we're fine.
Let's do this real quick.
All right. She leaves.
9 plus 5 is 18, 18 is greater than 14.
Yeah, you're okay.
Okay. We're back into session. Allie, if you could call a roll.
Okay. Lisa? Here. Stan?
Here.
Hannah? Andrew?
Here.
Ryan?
Here.
I'm here. Joseph?
Here.
Jean?
Yep.
Devin? Unabat? Nick?
Here.
Kate? Here. Leo? Rory?
Here.
Mila?
Here.
Becca? Here. Becca Stonquist is not here. Baran? John? Andrew?
Here.
Elena?
Here.
Mark? Corey.
Thank you very much, Ally. Malat, if you'd like to make a motion.
I would motion to approve the bylaw.
There's a motion on the table to approve this bylaw. Is there a second? Second by Lunarbot. Is there, okay, so now we're going to move into discussion. So either of you would like to talk.
The whole spirit behind this bylaw is basically make it official annual. And we said today, February 18th is a time of duration. The Finance Committee has basically nothing to do because we have to wait for the audit. And the 2 weeks of the duration we can do this, we call it REIS report, or breakdown, dollar-to-dollar breakdown for all the SAF allocation. So elucidate the students to how we actually spend SAF.
Discussion, Rebecca?
What position would be in charge of?
It will be internal procedure. So it will be internal procedure of the Finance Committee. So it's the Finance Committee has to do it. And it has to be approved by the all city council.
Right?
Could you go into a little bit of the details of why you chose, the February 18th date? Just because the next year's budget process won't have started yet. And the last year's budget process will be nearly a year in the past. And so I think that it doesn't sound like if students were concerned about something, they would be able to come in and deal with that process quickly enough, because I think the deadline for submissions for annual budgets would have already passed by the 18th most years. So just go into a little bit of detail why you chose the 18th.
Sure. The 18th?
Sorry, can you just...
The 18th is basically the time right before audit. And I mean, the whole purpose of February 18th was we basically want to set the specific time to like make this breakdown, dollar-to-dollar breakdown report. I mean, we can adjust the time if you suggest a better time for it. And Andrew can help with that too.
One of the reasons why we decided to pick February 18th was, first of all, we have to think about the time that Finance Committee had to do this report. And in terms of Finance Committee actually having time in between like mid-semester budgets, audits like Mazi mentioned before, and we had to make it, well, before the upcoming budget. So I understand your concern about making it like February 18th because like they won't have information about like the upcoming budget season, but would give them like a basic wrap on what happened previous year. Like for example, if we were to make a report say now for next week, if this bylaw did pass, February 18th would be I think next week. The student body would be aware of all the student activity fund that happened for this consecutive year, 2011, basically 2011. So although it won't be like, it won't help them for 2012, at least they'll have some form of awareness. And I think it's the only time the Finance Committee does actually have in between all the work that we do to actually get the breakdown done.
Do you want to put your camera on this side?
I'm so sorry.
Sam?
I was also saying on behalf of communications, we fully support this idea of this. I mean, you'd be more than willing to help with website stuff, we'd be very happy to help.
A lot?
Are we, if anyone's interested in like amending the bylaw in any form or way, Mazi and I and the Finance Committee in general are open to any suggestions.
Suggestions for the Finance Committee? None?
Would it be possible to do two, like twice a year? I don't know how much sense that would make, like right before and then like right after, so people get kind of like a summary of the previous year and then right after it happens like a summary of like what just happened. And even though the information would be like the same, at least it would be like current to people like in that moment. You know what I mean? It would be brought back to their attention. But I don't know how possible it is.
I understand everyone's concerns with the timeline, but as a member of the Finance Committee, we are very, we have a lot of time constraints in terms of doing audits and getting when we begin. And we do like mid-semester budgets, and we have budgets coming up, I think, in April. And we, to be quite honest, we don't have much time. And what I hear in terms of actually doing the dollar for dollar breakdown, it's going to be a difficult process actually getting the budget allocation of the previous year. So even doing this within, it seems like something that's really easy to do in a 2-week process, but actually getting the money, like the allocations from the previous year, is going to be a difficult task. So I understand your concerns with doing it twice a year, but I don't think it's something that is something that we should implement now. Maybe like in the near future, once the next finance committee sees that it's something that's doable, maybe then we can actually go for like twice a year. But right now, I think once a year would make sense.
I'm not sure how finance plans to do their this new dollar for dollar breakdown. However, when it was done in the past, it encompassed a percent, or not the percentage, but the dollar amount of an individual student's SAF and how much went to a certain organization or a certain fund that was set up. And if they're planning on doing it again in that way, that information is not going to change from September to February. Once the money is allocated to the specific funds or to the specific organizations, I mean, I don't know how detailed they're planning on getting, but if they do it in a similar fashion as the one that was done a couple years ago, whether it happens in September or February, it's the same information, and having it prior to the budget process, I think, is one of the important factors that they would want. And if it was done in this February timeline, it would still be before the annual budget process, which concludes at the Friday before spring break.
Right, going off of the backing spirit of it is that this is kind of in essence a culmination of where all the money has been spent for the past year, and we will be publishing it right before the annual budget process begins, so that if there is a group on campus that wants there to be a significant shift in where money is spent and where it's allocated, that then they can make that that wish present to us during the process. So it's that the report basically be saying this is where everything has been spent, and we would want the students then to kind of come forward and say, is this something we want to continue doing, or is there change that needs to be made going forward?
I have a question about Andrew's edits. Are you taking them as a part of the bylaw, or?
Yes, we'll be taking them as a part of the bylaw.
Okay. And then including, are you going to keep the breeze in quotation marks, or is that, how is that functioning? Sorry.
I was not part of, sorry. I was not part of the naming of this, but I believe that the story behind the name was that if we're going to do a kind of a breeze through where finances have been allocated. What was your other question?
It was answered because you are taking Andrew's edits.
Going off of what Katie and Andrew said, the essence of this report is to actually make it something that's constant, something that's annual, something that will be available to students like every year. That's the essence of the report, to make students, like literally what it says, to elucidate the student body about where their money goes. And that's something that's really necessary. I mean, as a student, I would like to know where my student activities fund would go. So this bylaw would make sure the finance committee conducts these, the dollar for dollar breakdown each year. And that's truly the essence of the bylaw, basically. It's been done before, but it was done in 2009, it wasn't repeated in 2010, and this is, as seen, it was a concern for the student body, and it has to be something that we push forward.
Sounds good. Other discussion on the bylaw? Jean, as our resident grammatician, grammarian, or perhaps even Rebecca, how does it? Good? Yes. Okay. All right. Other discussion on it? Allie?
Could somebody just send me the updated version of this so I can include it in the minutes?
Oh, that's another note too. Because we have our lovely Allie filling in for Hannah, we're all supposed to be talking slowly. I don't know if we have been or if I have been, but small words to your requests. So back to the matter at hand. Sorry.
I still have to call it on here. This is gonna sound super nitpicky. It's student activities fee, not student activities.
Do you take that as friendly?
It's a fee on the report. Sorry, it's a fee on the, we wrote fee on the report. I just kept it right.
Activities, not activities.
Activities plural.
Ryan?
I move to change activity to activities.
Oh, maybe.
Do you take it as friendly, guys?
Yeah.
Anything else? Jean?
Activity becomes activities and technically fees should become fees.
Do you guys take it as friendly? Yes, okay. Anything else?
That's everyone, I'm just doing my job.
Okay, thank you. So we're now going to move into voting. All those in favor of approving the Breeze Report bylaw, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Awesome. Thank you so much, Finance Committee. Other items to report on?
No, that's it.
Andrew?
Right, yeah. For the Money Matters event that we're scheduling for the 15th, we really appreciate it if all representatives and class representatives especially could email their constituents, making them aware of it.
Ryan?
What time of day is that?
It's at 6 p.m. next Wednesday here.
Becca?
Can you just repeat the day and time, please?
It's Wednesday the 15th in Grace Conference Room at 6 p.m.
I have a template email for you as well that use it.
That would be great. If you reply all to the emails I send out with the agenda, then you can circulate that to everyone. Awesome. Thank you so much, Finance Committee. Lots of good work this week. We're going to move into the organizational report. Rory?
Not a lot happened last week. We've been getting PCF requests. Devin should be on the, he's on it, okay, on the allocations for the student organizations, the office space, yeah. That's about it. We've got a meeting tomorrow, 12. We got a couple PCFs to go over. Pretty, yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you, organizational. Andrew? Thank you, Andrew. We're now going to move into internal business. So, as you guys are aware, the trustees came last Friday, and I was able to sit on the academic affairs trustee committee, and the bulk of the meeting was taken up by a report made by student affairs. You're right, yeah. Student affairs, and the bulk of the report was taken up with a report from Sean Sullivan, who is the athletics director, who actually came here to present to us. And a lot of it was the same as what he had talked about with us, but additionally, he has talked about attempting to get athletes sort of more integrated with the rest of the community and working towards promoting events that would do just that. And so on that note, as you guys remember, we did decide to allocate money towards Midnight Mayhem, which is taking place this Saturday at 9 p.m. In the Neller Athletic Center. And we've been in touch with Parker Edmonds more, and she's looking forward to seeing all of your lovely faces there. And I think it would be a good show of support if student council members were there and in attendance. I also might be able to swing t-shirts if anyone is interested. Talk to me after the meeting. She did ask for my size, so I'm thinking there might be more t-shirts possibly available. Just saying, talk to me after the meeting. It could happen, but it's of course contingent on the fact that you go. So that's that, and then B, okay. B is that there is an event that the Worcester Consortium schools are wanting to endorse and publicize, and they came to all of the different universities asking for help as part of publicity. It's a Mardi Gras themed carnival, and it occurs on Water Street, the Canal District, I think. Cool. Of Worcester. So we basically need to decide whether or not we're interested in promoting this sort of event. To be frank, it does include many establishments that are bars and that sell alcohol fairly exclusively, and it is being billed as a 21+ event. Additionally, Student Leadership and Programming has decided that they're not willing to put their stamp of approval on the event, and so we will not be able to use any of the traditional forms of media that are governed by Student Leadership and Programming. That being said, we can decide to advertise it through our own channels if you guys are interested in doing that. So I would like to hear thoughts on that and discussion of possible implications of partnering with this idea. Ryan?
I move to endorse this carnival event and direct communications committee to find creative advertising. Wow.
There's a motion on the table to endorse this event. Is there a second? Second by Jean. Questions to the wording? Discussion. Ryan?
It sounds like a great event. I think a lot of students who are 21 and over will enjoy it. It sounds like there are some activities that students who are under 21 can legally enjoy. And I think we should support it, particularly as SLP feels that they can.
Sam?
I'm just curious why SLP
So we talked about this at eBoard this past week, and after hearing a little bit about it, taking a look at the poster, I had some definite concerns, and I conferred with Mike regarding them. Primarily, the focus of the event appears to be visiting bars and thus drinking alcohol. I know it's shocking. I'm shocked by that. In SLMP, we would not approve any event where the sole focus is consumption of alcohol. We do have events of alcohol on campus. We are fine with having them, provided they meet certain criteria, but any event whose sole purpose is to consume alcohol is not something we would ever approve, as it promotes an unsafe and unhealthy attitude towards drinking. Additionally, this event is essentially a pub crawl. It's buses down to bars, to drink at bars, and then come home. We have a lot of concerns with that regarding its monitoring, who's supervising this event, how it's being handled if there is a student who does drink too much or drinks to the point where they need help. There is no staff there from any institution or from the consortium, and we have serious concerns about that and the liability and the risk that entails. We have done pub crawls in the past. For senior week, we haven't done them recently due to the number of health issues that have arisen from them. When we did do them, we had staff on every bus. We had staff present to handle any medical concerns or questions that came up. This event would not have that, and thus we are unwilling to approve it in terms of SLP and to promote it in that way. We will be reaching out to the consortium as well to see their opinion on it, because we have serious concerns about their promotion of the event as well. But it's just something that we're not willing to put our stamp on because it could end poorly and those are the primary.
Sam?
Let's hear that. It sounds like we take buses to bars. I'm just curious, is there anything for the under half, or the second half of the other graduates? Is there anything for them, or is this kind of strict?
Right. Allie, you were in the meeting when it was discussed.
Some of the places, the stops, it's like a bus run. So some of the stops are like just restaurants. So there are you'll be down in that area and you can't enter in. Like they're gonna have raffles and stuff. So there are things to do for people who are under 21 is what I'm struggling to say. But the bulk of the event is geared more towards the 21+ crowd, as most of the establishments in the Kelly Square, Green Street, Water Street area are bars. So yeah, the event itself is sponsored by the Canal District Better Business Bureau, or whatever their fancy name is. And so they're trying to bring more college students into that area, which is great. But that being said, the majority of the activities will be aimed more towards the 21 plus crowd.
Clear discussion? Kate?
I think, like, for me personally, as a non-21-year-old, I probably would not personally want to go, but I think that if I was 21, it would sound like a cool event. And they're not asking for any kind of particular money, they're kind of just asking for us to let our students know, our constituents know that this is going, that this is going on. And I think that, you know, I probably have 21-year-old constituents in Dodd who could be interested in this, so I think that it would be reasonable for student council as a body of students to advertise for it.
Jean?
Yeah, as senior class representative, I feel like it would be remiss if I didn't advertise this to my constituents, especially because towards the end of senior year, you know, everything's getting really stressed out and you want to meet people before you leave Worcester, and it's just a good chance for us to get off campus, I think. So especially my constituents especially, I think would be very interested. And I think if you're 21, like, it is a certain risk going out to a bar and consuming alcohol. And as an adult, like, my constituents should be able to handle themselves. And if you don't, shouldn't drink.
Further discussion? So we're going to move into voting. All in favor of endorsing this event, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? One opposition? Any abstentions? No abstentions. Motion carries. All right, so what this means practically is that we will be using say things like Facebook, our TV to promote it, but we cannot say make a slide and then put it in the cafeteria. We cannot hang posters in the, you know, in designated, or you know, we can't hang posters in, say, RLH places. But if you would like a poster, I have them. And we can, I'm sure that the communications committee will come up with some ideas about creative publicity. Jean?
This means we can't use our listservs, right? Because that's technically a sub.
Can we use our listservs or no?
We'll get back to you on
Well,
that
yeah.
for now.
All right, so.
Can you send out details, sorry?
Yes.
About this?
There are also, like I said, that there are posters in our office, so if you, it might be easier just to pick up a poster. But yeah, so we are officially endorsing this event. And that's all I have to report on. Allie?
I have nothing to report this morning.
Thanks, Allie. Thank you for the minutes. Ryan? Okay. And Hannah is not here and did not give me anything, so she is on the report. Rebecca, we're going to move into elections committee.
So we had a meeting today, and we have a few applications for the different open positions. So we're going to be having interviews next week. Unfortunately, we planned them, and you guys have to have your financial form at the same time, or, you know, same thing. Because we have interviews at from 5:30 to 7 next week. So we're going to be interviewing people by then, and a few days after that, we should have our positions filled, hopefully. And then we talked about our goals for the semester, and basically we're going to talk to athletics a little bit about dealing with the rehiring the soccer coach and the involvement with that, and University Police just getting more accurate list of reports of what's happening around campus and break-ins off campus. So we're going to be working on that.
I've been working pretty closely with UP, so if you wouldn't mind just like including me on some of the discussions they have.
So also, it just states to remember, if you are running for e-board, that petitions are due February 16th, and the meeting will be the 16th at 9 p.m., and the debate will be February 20th at 7 p.m.
Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, Mama.
Is the meeting on the 16th mandatory?
Yeah.
Anything else? Kate?
Where's the meeting? Just like on your section.
Yeah.
Student council.
Okay. Anything else? Katie? All right, so we're going to move into the communications report. And as Rebecca is not here, Sam, would you like to talk?
Sure. I think I'm the only communications guy here as well. Well, the two things we went over this meeting, or two things that Rebecca wanted to remind you guys, is that it kisses with council. The date and time is on the sheet. We have a lot of people signed up for tomorrow for 12, but a few good hours, so it's really good. However, we are a little skimpy on the 5 p.m. So if there's someone who could volunteer for 5 p.m., that you can either talk to me or email Rebecca. That would be wonderful. For B, we came up with a few goals, and one, I can't remember all off the top of my head, but one of them is to actually publicize all the committee goals and all the committees. So committee chairs, I think I already emailed you guys mentioning it. I'll probably email you guys again just to follow up. You guys can email me or Zach and a list back over there. Just email us a list of all your goals, and then we can publicize it and make the website look prettier.
I also noticed that the website is modified for elections. It's beautiful. Thank you. Anything else to report on?
Well, first of all, I had a meeting with Physical Plant to discuss the Philip Quad Busy Village. This is kind of an old project that's kind of working out. And it seems to go pretty well. Maybe not if you can talk about having, if you kind of figure out ways to utilize that space. But it still hasn't gotten much prettier last year. But that's another word.
Great, sounds good. Thank you very much, Sam. All right, so we're going to move into unfinished business, but there is none. New business, we already heard from the food co-op, but we haven't heard from gender neutral bathrooms. They will be in next week. And so we are moving on to last words. Katie.
Easy thing first. I've heard from a few of you regarding goals that your committees have taken up in terms of sitting down and getting some more information on certain things. So if any of you are still working on things and not sure where to start, feel free to contact me, and I can either give you the information I have or point you in the direction of who you should talk to. Number 2 is the Constitution in regards to listserv says, email may not be used to advertise events not sponsored by student council. Special budget allocation does not count as sponsorship, so I will leave it to judiciary to determine whether or not this counts as sponsorship.
Judiciary?
Yeah, I'm not willing to offer something like that. Do you want an opinion today, or like next week, or like?
I think we can wait until next week.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you, Katie and Andrew. Other last words? Brian?
I'm going to adjourn.
There's a motion on the table to adjourn. Is there a second? Second by Andrew. Questions to the wording? All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, guys. I will be